Welcome to the Reddit Chronicles. Today we will be reading from Am I Wrong? Our first post is by Rare Character. Was I wrong for not telling my girlfriend to cut off her guy friend? I broke up with my girlfriend about 3 years ago. Let's call her K. K had this guy friend. Let's call him J. To put it simply, J was a douche. He often hit on every girl he saw, including K, and did this right in front of me. I asked K to shut this down, but she didn't. One time I told J to stop being an asshole, after which my girlfriend took me aside and said I shouldn't cause a scene. I tried to be open-minded, but my girlfriend's attitude towards J's behavior was just exhausting. I wasn't gonna ask her to cut off a friend she's known for years. They were friends for like 5 years before we met. But I wasn't gonna be in a relationship where I have to constantly deal with J hitting on my girlfriend in front of me. Fast forward to today, and I ran into K. We had coffee and reminisced on our relationship. She asked me why I broke up with her. At the time I gave a vague excuse. I told her the truth and she became upset. She didn't yell of anything but was clearly aggravated. She told me I should have just said that Jay was the issue, and she would have cut him off, and that if she knew this was such a big deal to me, she would have chosen our relationship over Jay's friendship. I asked her why was she so willing to cut him off. She said she just dealt with Jay because he was part of the friend group, and thought his behavior was just something to tolerate to hang with her friends. But if she knew that if it came down to me or Jay, she would have chose me. She also said I took the choice away from her and should have just said something. And now I'm here confused as heck. I thought you could never tell your partner who they can be friends with. Our next post is by Gentiliana. Am I wrong for eavesdropping on my brother? I, 18F, overheard my brother, 20M, talking on the phone in his room. It was midnight and everyone else was asleep, so I was curious who he was talking to so late. I put my ear against his door and listened in. One of the first things I heard was my brother saying, "Please don't tell anyone, I can't have this get out." This made me 10 times more intrigued on what he was talking about. I kept listening to try to get some more context. I still couldn't make out who he was on the phone with. Finally, I heard him say my mom would kill me if she found out I got someone pregnant. I was in shock at what he just said. As far as I knew, my brother was single and hasn't dated in years. I must have moved or something when I heard that, because I heard him get up and rush to the door. I tried to run back to my room quietly, but he opened the door and saw me in the hallway. He looked at me while on the phone and told whoever he was talking to that he has to go. We looked at each other for a good 10 seconds without saying anything. Finally he asked, "So you heard that whole thing?" I nodded my head yes. He begged for me not to tell mom and dad. I told him not to worry, I am not a snitch, but I asked who he got pregnant. Apparently he was dating someone, but they kept the relationship low-key. The worst part is he said that she lied about being on birth control. I felt so bad for my brother and didn't know what to say. But before I could say anything, he got really upset with me, saying I shouldn't be listening in on things that don't concern me. He told me he lost all trust in his sister and can't even have any privacy. I feel really bad and he's been distant with me lately. He is right, I shouldn't have eavesdropped, but the only reason I did was because I was worried about him. We argued back and forth and I tried telling him he shouldn't be mad at his own sister and that I am here to help, but he just doesn't want to listen. Edit. I should clarify the reason he has trust issues with me is because I dated his best friend. Ever since then, I could tell we weren't as close. He still cares for me, but I think that set him off, because who wants their friend to date your own sibling? His friend just thought I was really cute and loved my body. He was one of the first guys to give me a lot of attention, so naturally I got close with him. I just wish my brother got over this. I hate not being close with him. Our next post is by SexChod. Am I effed? 2 years ago my wife, 39, and I, 42, had a pretty intense shakeup in our marriage. After 2 kids and losing ourselves in parenthood, which is what we signed up for, things came to a head. She went on a trip with her family while I was away for a week with my friends. On her trip, some guy tried making out with her. I only found out because she was acting very strange when she returned. I went through her phone, which I had never done in 13 years, and found a DM that she sent to the guy. She swore nothing happened. Problem is that she continued to randomly message back and forth with the guy until I gave her an ultimatum that if she did it again, I was walking out. It's been a rocky couple of years since. 2 years later, and I don't trust her. I don't believe the story, and I am changed. I used to let her go out with friends and never once was jealous. I didn't care where she was or who she was with. There was complete and total trust. It's gone, and I'm not sure if it's all on me at this point or if my gut is right. That I am being lied to. Sex was a huge reason that we had drifted apart. I would have to beg her once a month and she'd eventually say yes. But it was a miserable 2 minutes, knowing the second it was over the countdown to another 30 days started. We spoke about this and it got better for a while. But now we're back to me having to ask permission basically for me to have sex with her. She doesn't initiate anything. I have felt as though she has never been attracted to me sexually, and it's hard to feel otherwise. In some weird backdoor play, I have been talking to a couple girls from work that have told coworkers that they want to do some pretty nasty things with me. A part of me wants to do so badly, and I feel justified for wanting to. I have spent a lot of time weighing out the pros and cons. Like, do I even want to be married to this woman anymore, when I'm constantly begging for my needs to be met? The other thing that I am totally aware of is that maybe I am suspicious of my wife because I have been exhibiting some sketchy behaviors myself. I'm a mess. Our next post is by Heaven Sent Angel. Am I wrong for not wanting to marry my boyfriend just so he can get his green card? I, 20 female, have been with my boyfriend, 22 male, for roughly 2 years now. We've been pretty on and off. This is due to our tumultuous relationship. We argue quite frequently and struggle to see eye to eye on most situations. Elv also found multiple different women in his phone. Despite this, we've stuck together, although one thing that has come up pretty often throughout the relationship is the green card debate. I call it a debate because the conversation always gets heated. He struggles to find work, and being that he has no direct family living in the US, ultimately, it makes getting a green card close to impossible. His mother brought him to the US when he was 13, and he's been here since. Now that he's at the age where he needs to start his life, he has many hurdles to jump over, due to the fact that he is not a legal citizen. We've discussed that by simply going to the courthouse and signing papers, he can easily obtain a green card. On the other hand, since I was a little girl, I've always dreamt of a big wedding and a beautiful honeymoon and a house to come home to. As a woman, giving myself to someone in the name of marriage has always been sacred to me. Much like a strong moral, I never envisioned myself just signing some papers in a courthouse for the benefit of someone else. I love him, but today, he said, we've been wasting time for 2 years. It hurts me that wasting his time is how our relationship has felt to him. It's made me question if he's stuck around simply for his own benefit. I have a house to myself that I have been renting out since before we met. We've lived together briefly, and he's here whenever his mom doesn't want him living at his house. He's 22. I feel like I'm holding his hand through life. I don't want to continue to do so by marrying him so he can get his green card. He asks me, do you see us being together for a long time? His logic is, if we're going to be together forever, then why not just get married now? But that's not the way I look at it. I want to establish a life, a home, and a career before I think about marriage, but the only way for him to establish himself is by having a green card, and for me to want a huge wedding ring and a crazy wedding, I'm considered a gold digger. No matter how I argue it, he seems to always make my reasoning seem pathetic. So am I wrong for not wanting to marry him? Thank you for listening to the Reddit Chronicles. Follow for more content.